just saying if you want to do away do away with it. Just don't act like don't forget what brought it about. That's all.
And it's where people look for talent. If you look at these tech companies, they go to Stanford, Harvard, Berkeley. You think they're going to the HBCUs and looking for talent there? If they're not pushed to go outside their networks, they're going to hire the same people from the same schools and replicate the same wealth gap. We've got a 10-to-1 wealth gap in America, and instead of talking about that, we're beating up on DEI.
But we had this with in your industry or that you represent. Women were they started 2 programs, big programs, like 20 years ago to get more women in engineering positions. And I think in 20 years it went up 1%. I don't think it's because they were barred from doing it. I just think people choose to go into different avenues of.
Maher and Stephen A. Smith joined forces to expose some surprising truths about the left's push for woke-style DEI policies. Even though both come from similar political circles, they've tried again and again to alert their peers to the flaws within their own side, yet their warnings have mostly been ignored. On a fiery episode of Real Time with Bill Maher, the two pushed back against familiar DEI arguments, sending shockwaves through the political conversation. Get ready, things are about to erupt.
That I have over this whole DEI issue is that everybody thinks about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and it automatically connotates in a lot of people's eyes, particularly on the right, that somebody that's in that position must have gotten there because of a level of incompetence and what have you. It's not merit-based. My attitude is similar to the Rooney Rule with the National Football League, similar with affirmative action. What the hell was the policy necessary for to begin with? Because we had a power structure in the United States of America that was unfair, that was unequitable or inequitable. They didn't give a damn, and somebody had to compel them to do the right thing conscientiously, and nobody is talking about that in regards to DEI.
Well, I think they are. But also things change. You're talking about the past.
But they haven't changed enough. Look at tech. Look at how many African Americans, Latino Americans are in tech, which is producing out all the wealth.
But is it because they're barred?
Maher raises a sharp and uncomfortable question. Are certain groups missing from baseball because they're pushed out on purpose, or simply because they prefer other sports? He argues that honest questions like this should guide every DEI conversation. Most of the time, uneven outcomes aren't caused by bias. They're shaped by personal choices, cultural trends, and what people genuinely enjoy rather than by hidden barriers. Yet DEI supporters often overlook this important detail, and it's clear that Maher is only beginning to peel back these layers. Hold on tight, his critique is about to go even deeper.
I'm not saying you want to do away with it. Just don't act like, don't forget what brought it about.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
And it's where people look for talent. If you look at these tech companies, they go to Stanford, Harvard, Berkeley. You think they're going to the HBCUs and looking for talent there? If they're not pushed to go outside their networks, they're going to hire the same people from the same schools and replicate the same wealth gap. We've got a 10-to-1 wealth gap in America, and instead of talking about that, we're beating up on DEI.
But we had this with in your industry or the way you represent. Women were they started 2 programs, big programs, like 20 years ago to get more women in engineering positions. And I think in 20 years it went up 1%. I don't think it's because they were barred from doing it. I just think people choose to go into different.
Positions created through DEI initiatives rarely disappear simply because conditions improve. The system's incentives tend to keep them in place. Critics argue that some job standards have been adjusted in ways that prioritize policy goals over traditional qualifications. While DEI originally aimed to fix real issues and promote fairness, its focus drifted over time. Weak points in the setup made it possible for people to use the system to their advantage instead of pushing for meaningful fixes. Once that happens, spotting the real problems and solving them becomes far more challenging.
The studies show that African American young men and women are more interested in tech than even white kids, but they don't have the same pathways. We are denying reality if we think.
So you're saying they're being
I'm not saying that. I'm saying if you graduate from Stanford, I taught at Stanford, you get funded before you have an idea. You literally just email a venture capitalist, you get funded. If you're at Morehouse or you're at Spelman or you're at Claflin University, you think you could just email someone at Kleiner Perkins and get your company funded? No.
I think companies that want to make money hire the best people to make it for them.
Maher circles back to his main point and uses a simple example to make it clearer. Every profession attracts different levels of interest. Since some careers are naturally more appealing than others, uneven representation doesn't always point to unfair treatment. Studies from multiple countries reveal the same trend again and again. When people have full freedom and equal access, they often choose roles in people-focused areas like teaching, healthcare, or communication, rather than technical or highly physical jobs. Maher stresses that not every statistical gap is proof of mistreatment. Sometimes those gaps exist purely because of genuine personal choices.
James, you would understand this better than anybody because you're a sports genius. Baseball. I've heard there's only 7% players in baseball who are African American.
That's right. That's right.
Well, this would be a problem of baseball, as they were before 1947. There's only 7% because they want to play another sport or no sport at all or do something else. They're not barred. It's not a problem.
It's not a problem, but what they're trying to do on the right, and I've been getting on them about this, is that, again, when you're talking about DEI, anytime you bring that up, oh, you're a DEI hire. You didn't really deserve it. You didn't really earn it. You just got it because of that policy. And I'm like, but you just gonna bring that up but ignore why the policy was there to begin with. That means there was a whole bunch of white people before there was DEI that were getting jobs that they didn't deserve.
I know, but there was, I think, the University of Michigan, one of the schools like that, had something like 200 DEI officers at a college, the most liberal place.
Yeah, that's excessive. No, it's excessive.
Okay, and who's ever going to give up that job and go, well, this situation is better now, I guess I better fire me?
Big companies exist to earn profit. They're not in the business of charity, social experiments, or hiring people just for show. They want the strongest talent because that's what helps them grow, innovate, and succeed. It's really that simple. For young people hoping to reach these major companies, the path is clear. Build the qualifications that separate you from everyone else. For many, that means studying at top-tier schools like those in the Ivy League, where demanding academics, powerful networks, and respected reputations open countless doors. And these schools don't choose students based only on money or background. While the system isn't perfect and advantages do exist, admissions usually favor those with standout ability, drive, and potential. Companies recruit heavily from these institutions because they recognize the quality of talent they produce. So if kids want to step into those competitive spaces and go after those opportunities, they must focus on merit, preparation, and real performance, not shortcuts or stories that distract from the true work needed to succeed.
Just not blacks.
Well, I really, I mean, this is one of the
Asian Americans wouldn't even be in this country if it weren't for the civil rights movement and the African American community.
We're talking.
Well, if you're gonna bring that up, bring up the fact that whether it's affirmative action or DEI, the biggest beneficiaries of both programs were white women. Let's not forget that.
But can we live in the year we're living in?
Yeah.
Because I think it's 2025. I mean, this is one of the most liberal parts of the country that you represent.
Yes.
So you're saying in one of the most liberal parts, maybe you're right. I don't know. I'm just questioning it. That there is this prejudice against.
I don't think it's formal. I don't think people there at Apple or Google are saying, oh, let's not hire black people. I think it's easy when you're building a company to just hire the people you know, the schools you know, and it takes extra effort to reach out beyond your networks. We all have that.
And that assumption completely weakens Stephen A's point. In most workplaces, people rise because they're dependable, steady, and consistently deliver results, not because of hidden unfairness. Employers across every field look for workers who show up early, stay committed, and build trust through the quality of their efforts, traits that matter enormously in high-pressure settings. In many cultures, habits like discipline, education, and long-term planning are encouraged from childhood, and these qualities often translate into career achievement. So, when Stephen A tries to explain hiring patterns as bias or institutional favoritism, it overlooks a basic reality. Countless individuals move ahead simply because they work harder than others, and companies reward that kind of drive far more than dramatic explanations. And in any workplace focused on real outcomes, someone with that level of dedication will always be in demand.
Part of today's woke revolution, you need to study the part of revolutions where they spin out of control because the revolutionaries get so drunk on their own purifying elixir, they imagine they can reinvent the very nature of human beings. Communists thought selfishness could be cast out of human nature. Russian revolutionaries spoke of the new Soviet man who wasn't motivated by self-interest, but instead wanted to be part of a collective. No, it turns out he wanted to be on a yacht in a Gucci tracksuit holding a vodka and a prostitute.
This politician completely overlooks a simple truth. Ivy League schools consistently attract students with outstanding academic records and high standards, which is why top companies actively recruit from them. That's not discrimination, it's efficiency. Big firms would rather focus on talent pools that have already proven themselves in demanding environments than sift through countless random applications. It's basic economics. When you need the strongest candidates, you begin where the competition is toughest and expectations are highest. This logic works in everyday life too. As customers, we naturally choose products and brands with a strong track record for quality and dependability. We don't make choices blindly, we rely on trust. And when enormous budgets, intense markets, and long-term planning are at stake, companies operate the same way. They prioritize applicants from schools known for strong preparation and consistent achievement. Claiming this approach is unfair or harmful ignores the real factors that shape outcomes: readiness, merit, and proven performance.
The problem with communism and with some very recent ideologies here at home is that they think you can change reality by screaming at it, that you can bend human nature by holding your breath. But that's the difference between reality and your mommy. Lincoln once said that you can repeal all past history, but you still cannot repeal human nature. But he's canceled now, so fuck him.
Even though the video is from an earlier time, it fits perfectly into today's conversation. Much like parts of the modern DEI movement, many activists once believed that laws alone could override personal choices and long-standing cultural interests. But, as expected, real life didn't line up with that assumption. Yes, prejudice and unfair denial of opportunity still exist, and these are real concerns that deserve thoughtful attention. However, trying to fix this by flipping the imbalance and handing out roles based on categories instead of true ability doesn't solve anything. It doesn't make injustice disappear. It just creates new versions of it. No matter how strongly the messaging is presented, skills, knowledge, and preparation will always matter. If the goal is fairness, swapping merit for quotas doesn't push society forward. Instead, it fuels resentment, widens divides, and erodes trust in the very systems meant to support everyone.
Listen to this story. There's a law professor at the University of Illinois, Chicago, named Jason Kilborn, whose crime was that on one of his exams, he used a hypothetical case where a black female worker sued her employer for race and gender discrimination, alleging that managers had called her two slur words, the type of real-world case these students might one day confront. And knowing the extreme sensitivity of today's students, he didn't write the two taboo words on the test, just the first letter of each. He was teaching his students how to fight racism in the place where it matters most, the criminal justice system. But because he merely alluded to those words, again in the service of a good cause, he was banned from campus, placed on indefinite leave, and made to wear the dunce cap.
In the end, the challenges around DEI have more to do with understanding how people naturally make choices than with fairness alone. You can't force talents, passions, or personal excitement. No matter the setting, people go after paths that match their abilities and spark their enthusiasm. That's why we see familiar patterns in sports, school, and the workplace. Some neighborhoods have always leaned towards certain sports, not because anyone was pushed away, but because interest grew on their own over time. The same idea applies to careers. A person's surroundings, family life, cultural background, and personal tastes all play a part in shaping what they choose. And while assigning tasks or roles based on identity might look good from the outside, it doesn't change what people truly want to do. For any group to succeed, it needs the right people with the right skills. Students who are best prepared earn their way into schools, and individuals follow careers that match what they're good at. Recognizing this isn't unfair, it's realistic. Real fairness comes from preparation and genuine opportunity, not from rules that force certain outcomes. The sooner we understand that, the easier it becomes to have honest conversations about DEI. With that, we'll wrap up today's video. If you enjoyed it and want to see more, hit like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.